Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de Cultivando Historias con Glezco. Ahora tenemos a una persona muy importante para nosotros. Él es Mark Ryckman, es uno de los dueños de Progressive Ag, que son los que hacen las aspersores Electroblast y son nuestros proveedores de Estados Unidos. Ellos están en Modesto, California, y ellos mismos hacen todas las partes de la maquinaria. Y aquí viene a hablarnos un poco de lo que es la tecnología, de lo que son sus máquinas y de la experiencia que tiene él hablando con clientes de todos lados, de todo tipo de cultivos. Hey Mark, how are you doing?
Doing great, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, Progressive Act Inc.
Well, our company was established about 30 years ago. Started with an existing electrostatic system that was an old system. It was made of fiberglass plates with an old power supply, and the system was a little bit archaic, but it worked as long as you kept it clean and kept good care of it. Um, we have developed that system into a new system, which I'll get into a little bit later. But the company is derived up of 32 employees, including owners. And when we first started, we would do about 20 to 25 machines a year. And now we're doing in excess of 200 machines a year.
Oh, quite a bit. We hope we can get the numbers higher eventually.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You mentioned the electrostatics. I believe that's sort of the soul of the whole machine. Can you dive in onto that a little bit more so you can explain it to us how it works and all the in and outs of it?
Sure, absolutely. Electrostatic's been around for well over 40, 45 years on the technology. It started over in Holland, over in Europe. Um, Essentially what the electrostatic will do for you is you're charging the particles coming out of the machine, just like electrostatic painting or electrostatic powder coating. It's all the same type of process. We're not doing anything different to the tree itself. Your trees are already grounded to the earth. So by charging those particles that are coming out of the machine, your trees are grounded. So it helps for those droplets to help to attract to the tree and help to hit those hard to reach areas that a normal conventional machine would not be able to hit. The other main benefit of the electrostatic isn't so much that raw attraction to the tree, but it's also that water has a funny property. When you take two puddles of water or two droplets of water and get those droplets close enough, water always wants to attract. It always wants to come together and join. Your spray going out to your tree, your vine, whatever crop you're spraying, goes out. The droplets hit each other in the air. They form a large droplet. They hit that leaf surface, and now gravity takes over. Those droplets are too big, they're too heavy, and they drip right off onto the ground. So by charging them with the same charge, it's like two same sides of a magnet. When you go to get them close together, they want to always separate. They want to always stay away from each other. And that's what, with the electrostatic, it helps to keep those droplets away from each other, causing much more of an even coverage and hitting both sides of the fruit, both sides of the nuts, the grapes, whatever crops you're spraying.
So that makes it more efficient to whatever it is that you're using.
Absolutely. A lot of our customers, with all the different materials they spray, whether they're fungicides, foliar feeds, pesticide materials, disease control, all of those chemicals will work in the same way, and it helps to keep them away from each other, causing more even coverage. So that way, most of our customers will actually reduce the amount of water that they're spraying per acre. In some cases, as much as 4 or 5 times less water, and still get the same or better coverage.
You mentioned the reduction in water. One of the myths that I've been hearing from a lot of the producers is that electrostatic means just less water, which in some ways can be true, but a lot of them say that, oh no, we need to use a lot of water to actually like soak up everything. Uh, how accurate is that? The electrostatic just means less water.
There are a lot of different materials out there and a lot of different chemistries. With some of those materials, that could be true if they're a systemic material, but there's also different new products out now, such as wetting agents, which keep your droplets wet longer, which allow them to be able to be absorbed better into the plants. The number one mistake that people make when they're out spraying is they want to go out and spray during the day, because who wants to spray at night? Who wants to be out there all night applying material all night long? But the sun acts like a magnifying glass, and the heat will dry up in combination with the sun and dry up those droplets 10 times faster than you would at the same temperature that you would be at night without the sun. So it's very critical to go out and apply at nighttime.
Okay. And I'm guessing the all of the sprayers can be basically tuned for whatever amount of water you want to spray per acre or per hectare.
Yeah, the ease of our machines is we don't really use nozzles. Our nozzles are 3/16 of an inch in diameter, and they're an air shear nozzle. So to adjust your calibration from your low volume application where you're utilizing electrostatic to your high volume applications, all you have to do is turn some valves, and now you're adjusted for high volume. Get your high volume application done for a dormant spray or a spray where you have to go high volume application for, and then go back to your next spray back to low volume.
So it's just as easy as that. It's just turning some knobs. You're it.
Yeah, we do have new technology that we have different types of rate controllers that will control the amount of chemical coming out of the machine and monitor that. We also use a flow monitor that counts the gallons per minute, which is a very simple, very inexpensive system. And it either counts gallons per minute or liters per hectare to be able to set your flow and get your calibration dialed in right off the bat.
Sounds sounds efficient.
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
And I've been talking with some customers, and they asked about the drift. Since the mist of the sprayer, you mentioned it was like with wind power instead of just pressure. Uh, does the electrostatic help with the amount of drift you get from like some wind or whatever is going on in your orchard farm?
That's a good question, and that's a good point. There's different sides to this. So we've had some tests and studies done with no wind, because wind is a big issue with drift. And the number one mistake that people make is they go out because they have to get the spray on, and they go out and spray in the winds. And then you get drift to rivers, other orchards, other crops, other commodities, other homes, joggers running down the road, whatever it may be. Um, you've got to be careful on where and how you're applying material, especially when it comes to pesticides. But we have had studies done that have shown that in calm, still conditions, we have reduced the amount of drift because those droplets are charged and because those droplets want to help to attract to a grounded object.
So you're essentially reduce the drift. Everything goes into the tree, the crop, whatever you want to spray, and no, it doesn't go into the ground or anything in between.
Correct. I mean, you're always going to get a little bit into the ground. You're not going to get 100% to the
Yeah,
tree, but it does help reduce that drift coming out. Now, if it's windy, you shouldn't be spraying in the wind
yeah,
anyways.
yeah. That's a problem we keep going into. So you might know that we are kind of specialists in the pecan field in Mexico, at least. So a lot of people know us for that, and they usually just see the big sprayers that you make. But what other crops do you use your machines into? Just so everyone can know.
Anything that's grown on a tree or vine. We don't do any field crop sprayers with flat row crop booms yet. That may be something that we're looking at for the future. But for right now, it is just any orchard or vineyard. So all your grapes, blackberries, blueberries, hazelnut trees. peaches, apricots, all different types of trees or vines. And we're a custom sprayer manufacturer, so we can pretty well build just about anything that somebody wants.
So amount of the road width that you work at with, uh,
The
any
narrowest,
range?
the narrowest we're able to get a machine down to right now is 43 inches. So we can get down to
43
43
inches.
inches outside tire to outside tire on the machine. The tank is within the tires, so it's narrower than the tires are. So we're able to get down to that. And then you've probably seen the largest machine that we make, but it's
Yeah,
7 feet tall, 28 feet long, has a 225 horsepower John Deere 6-cylinder engine. And that machine will hit 90 feet vertical, so 30 meters.
30 meters. So that's about the highest it can get to.
Yeah, we have toyed around if somebody's got trees bigger than that, which there's not many of those in the world. We can adjust all four of the volutes to one side, and that would be able to get considerably higher than that. We don't know yet because we haven't done it, but my guess would probably be in the
Yeah.
120 to 130 feet.
Okay. So well, people shouldn't be able to shouldn't be having that height of a tree at all because
No, I
it's
mean,
just
even most of the
it's
old
hard
style
for everything.
pecans, yeah, even the old style pecans nowadays, they're hedging, they're keeping them smaller. They're easier to shake, they're easier to harvest, they're easier to manage, they're easier to
Just
spray.
everything. It's just
Yeah, correct.
any other mods you have done like for specific applications?
I'm sorry, any other what?
Mods, the modifications. So maybe like you mentioned that you can put all the cannons on the same side. So
Hmm. On our
any other
large PTO rigs for pecans, we have done that thing with the PTO rigs. Is done both of the volutes instead of having one to each side. We've done both of them to one side. We call it our pecan head. And so they can either go both to the left side or both to the right side if you've got one orchard that's huge that you're wanting to just be able to spray a lot further and a lot taller for the PTO rigs. And then you just have to kind of round each tree and cover each row around. We make big, huge vineyard sprayers that have arms that go out and drop down, and we can insert a picture for the customers here that are watching the video. We can insert a picture
yeah.
of our big wraparound sprayer.
Okay. And how about for like denser like for avocados, the trees tend to get pretty dense, so
Mhm.
they want something with a bit more penetration. Do you have done anything for that?
We've toyed around with building a larger PTO machine, but obviously it's going to take more tractor horsepower. So you'd have to have in the 115, 120 PTO horsepower, which makes for a very large tractor to get in there. So that's been kind of one of the drawbacks of designing and building that larger rig. But tractor companies are constantly making larger horsepower and smaller packages. So that may be something that we'll have for the near future.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, every crop has its own details, so some of them might be able to use that more often than not.
Yeah, of course. One of the new things that we've been, I don't, if you don't mind if I add something, one of the new
Sure.
things that we've been doing has been experimenting with pollen application. So there's a
Pollen.
company that I've been working very closely with. They're in Yakima, Washington, and their name is Furman Pollen.
Okay.
Gentleman by the name of Ryan Riesbeck. And so what they do is they harvest pollen from trees the year before, then they process it, filter it, clean it, and put it in refrigeration for the year. And then the next spring or bloom time, they'll go out and apply the pollen or suspend the pollen into a sugar solution that was developed by Washington State University. And what that does is it encapsulates the pollen to increase the pollen survivability. If you put pollen directly into water, it will just implode and it will kill the pollen. So by suspending it into a sugar solution, it allows that pollen to stay alive for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So then they can go through and spray the pollen on any trees that need that supplemental pollen or additional pollen to help increase crop yields. And they've
So
seen,
sort of like almonds.
yeah, correct. In almonds, it's been huge. In apples, different varieties of apples that have a hard time setting pollination. Cherries has been a big thing. They're experimenting with it in kiwis and some different berry crops. So there's a lot of different applications. There's even talks of doing pecans, even though they don't actually have a like a pistil or a bloom, but to be able to go out and apply extra pollen because they need pollen from other trees. So by adding that additional pollen, it could be
It
something
might
that could
just
be huge for the future.
Yeah, so it might just increase the yield without much work into it.
Correct. Just going through and doing one application, one extra application of spray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the consistency like? Because I'm not sure. You can use like liquid products, maybe solids, or the little dusty ones, the powder ones. Would that be what kind of consistency?
The it's really just it looks like sugar water. Um, the amount of pollen in there is very little. I mean, it's I think it's 20 grams or 25 grams per acre. So it's very, very
So
small
it's
amount.
not
It
much,
doesn't really, it looks like sugar water. It's a little sticky when it dries.
and that's it.
That's it.
So why I'm asking that is you can pretty much use any kind of product with your machines, right?
You're absolutely right. We've got certain customers in prunes here in California and plums. Um, they require an immense amount of sulfur because they have
Okay.
a lot of mildew with the plums, and so they'll go out and
Yep.
apply the highest rate I've heard of somebody going with our machine was 25 pounds of sulfur with 30 gallons of water, and that is a slurry.
Okay.
That is a
Yeah.
thick amount of
It's
material. So because of
so
our large nozzles, we're able to put out that kind of rate and not have to worry about plugging up filters or plugging up nozzles.
okay. So those nozzles, can you use some of the more conventional ones, or you can use the large nozzles for everything?
No, we just use our large nozzles for everything. We do have what we call a high volume dilute kit, which allows you to be able to go over what our normal low volume electrostatic nozzles would put out, which would be equivalent to 100 gallons per acre. The large dilute kit has T-jet nozzles per se, but they're at 80/20 size T-jet nozzle, which is again is
Okay.
around a 3/16 of an inch diameter hole. It's a very huge hole.
Okay, so each customer can play with whatever their needs might be.
Yes, absolutely. And then if there are citrus customers out there that require high volume for scale application, we can increase the size of hosing and the size of valves going through our machines. We can dump out 1,000 gallon tank in 9 minutes if you need that kind of volume of water.
Okay.
Non
That's good
electrostatic.
to know.
Non electrostatic. We can't charge that much water.
Yeah. And how about maintenance? Because that's a big deal for a lot of sprayers. Since they usually are running at high pressures, the maintenance has to be sort of periodic. But how about the electroblast?
You know, the biggest thing that we get back from our customers is there's just not much to go wrong with these machines. They're very simple. Every sprayer, no matter what brand or what color they are, high volume, high pressure, low pressure, I strongly recommend to clean them out at the end of the day, especially after you're running powders. You can start building up on thick materials inside your hosing, inside your lines, inside the pumps, inside the machines. So flushing them out is key. But there's really no extra maintenance with our sprayers. There's with our customers, there's actually less because we're not running high pressure, so we don't have any of those high pressure leaks or high pressure hoses failing. The only maintenance with the electrostatic is wiping off the plates, cleaning the electrodes. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes with a bucket, soap, and water. I prefer a dish sponge just because it fits right in the square of your palm, whereas a towel is big and bulky and a towel ends up getting caught on different areas of the machine. So a dish sponge is easy. Wash them off. They're stainless steel. They won't rust out on you. That's all you have to do.
So pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very simple.
How about durability?
We build these machines for high use California conditions. That's where we manufacture the machines here in Modesto, California. We've got customers that have 6, 7, 8, 10,000 acres. Some of the guys, I don't agree with this, but some of the guys are running, one machine per 800 or 900 acres. And they're using them every day. So we build them to hold up. We build them very durable. I would recommend somewhere in the range of 300 to 500 acres per machine, and that would increase as your row spacing gets narrower for different crops.
Okay. What's like the oldest machine that you've encountered that's still working like perfectly?
There was a former company that was called Spectrum, and we actually purchased that company, Spectrum, and turned it into ElectroBlast. Spectrum was originally made in Texas, and there are still Spectrum sprayers out there running. We bought the company 30 years ago. So there are machines that are 35, 40 years old that are still out there in the field running. We still carry parts for them, or we can upgrade certain components of the machine to a new style so that we don't build a throwaway sprayer.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I wanted to hear it from you because we've seen old ones for like 20, 25 years old and they're still running smoothly. And service, it's a big part. We do the service, but people often ask us about parts or any other like specific mods or how is how would you say that our relationship between like service and well, Glezco and Progressive Act is going on? Like, how does it work?
Well, look, I don't do the parts side of the business. I'm the sales manager, but I see the pallets of parts that Equipos Glezco orders from us to make sure that they have them in stock for their customers, and it's a great relationship between the two of our companies.
So any client is listening to this, you can be sure that well, we'll fix whatever's wrong
Absolutely,
whenever it's needed.
Go see Glezco. They've got the parts in stock.
And so, just to sort of finish it up, what recommendations or advice would you offer all of the farmers, producers, just consider that are considering adopting the well, not new, but a new sprayer with technology like electrostatic technology?
I'd say the biggest thing is don't be afraid of it. It's very simple. It's a very easy machine to operate. Um, we we've made offers to customers before that are worried and concerned about it. That if the machine doesn't hold up or if it doesn't work for you in the first year and you're not happy with the machine, we'll figure it out. We'll find a buyer for the machine. We'll take it off your hands. It won't be free. You made the decision to buy it. We made the decision to sell it to you. But knock on wood, I've never had anybody have to turn a machine in yet. I've never had to take one back. They're very simple units. They're very easy to calibrate. They're very easy to operate. And the electrostatic just helps the coverage.
And it helps the coverage and your pocket because I mean you can reduce man work hours, you can reduce the amount of product you use, just a bunch of positive things all around.
Absolutely. I can't tell somebody to cut their chemical rates. That's by their PCA, by their chemical consultant. We do have customers doing it, but that's up to them and that's up to their decision to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Just work with your technician or whatever, and you might be able to do it. Not everyone can, but at least there's a possibility with it. Not a
Absolutely.
given, but a possibility.
Right. So, and
So you
we're trying to
mentioned
work on, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
We're trying to work on, maybe some new designs, some new things for the future. We'll see what that holds, but we're always open to suggestions from our customers, from our dealers, from people on our manufacturing side to be able to stay with the times. There's a couple of new systems that are coming out that might be available here in the near future.
Can you give us a little sneak peek on that?
I cannot elaborate that on at this point. I'm sorry.
No, no worries.
I can
So,
talk about a new. There is one new system that's put out. It's made by a company called ARAG, ARAG. It's called the Bravo 350. What this system does is it does tree detect. So we
okay.
utilize ultrasonic sensors that shoot out sound waves like a bat. And when it bounces off of a solid object, being the foliage of a tree, it will tell the system on when to come on and when to shut off. It's got a wheel speed sensor on it, so it knows how fast the machine is going and will calculate when that spray should turn on and when that spray should shut off. It also incorporates a full rate control system into the tree detect. So if you set the machine up for 400 liters per hectarea, it will hold that material and hold that chemical rate no matter what the driver is driving as far as his ground speed, and it will keep that same exact amount of material on every area of the field.
So like auto calibration.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, that sounds interesting. We hope to see it sometime once it's fully developed.
That system is fully
And,
available.
no, but into the machine, like proper,
We haven't
or it can.
we haven't shipped one of those units to Mexico yet, but they are running here in California.
Okay,
Yep,
perfect.
yep.
That's. I think that's going to be it for now. Do you want to add anything else for our viewers, our listeners?
Um, I mean the pollen application in apples has been really good. So if anybody in the Cuauhtemoc area in Mexico sees this, it is a very good thing. But it is strongly recommended by the pollen company to specifically apply with electrostatic sprayers because the electrostatic will go to the pistil of the flower and it will get right there on the flower itself rather than just throwing it out there and hope you hit something. The electrostatic wants to attract to moisture. It wants to attract to the flowers or the wettest part of the tree during that time of year. And so with the electrostatic, it wants to go to that wet area of the tree because moisture is what makes the tree grounded. It's not just the leaf or just the wood. It's actually the moisture in there that's connected through the tree to the ground, and that's what makes the tree grounded. And during the growing time, during the bloom, that's the wettest portion of the tree. So the pollen really wants to help to go to the flower itself.
That's that's good to know. We'll make sure to let the people from Apple community in Cuauhtemoc to know that.
Perfect.
Well, Mark, thanks a lot for giving us a little bit of your time to talk about your sprayers, and we hope to see you again in the World Ag Expo
We will
in
definitely
Tulare.
be there in February, the second week of February. I think it's the 13th, 14th, and 15th of February. So
Perfect. I
we will
guess we'll
see
see
you
you then.
there. Arsenio, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Eso es todo por ahora. Cualquier duda que tengan nos pueden contactar y nosotros podemos hablar directamente con la gente de Progressive Ag y todo pues, para que el campo no pare. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
That's gonna be it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.